Hello, first grade. Mrs. Taima here. Welcome to part 1 of your reading lesson for today. Today with Miss Spears, you are going to reread different parts of Gilberto and the Wind and look for sensory words that you hear in the text. Together with Miss Spears, you will be making a chart that we will use in the future for writing we will do using sensory words. Now, at the end, she's going to read one last section of the text, and she is going to ask you to write down a sensory word that you hear when you're listening to this page. You are going to go to the next slide, this one right here, and I've put an image here right to help you remember what some of the senses are that we use. We use our hearing, we use our eyes for seeing, and our hands for touching. So here are your instructions. It says, write a sensory word in the box below that you hear when you listen to this sentence. And when he blows it, he turns it so fast that it whistles and sings, and all I can see is a blur. You are going to be writing down a sensory word that you hear after you watch the video with Miss Spears. You're going to come back to this slide and do this activity. You're going to type the sensory word, or if you hear more than one sensory word, you can type more than one word. You're just going to put your cursor here, and you can delete the words that say type here. You can delete those and type in the words that you want to type, okay? All right, it is your turn to listen with Miss Spears, and then come back and do this activity. And I will see you soon.
Hello, first grade friends, and welcome back to Wit and Wisdom in Sync. My name is Tanisha Spears, and I'm excited to jump into our lesson for today. But before we do, let's make sure you have your materials ready. For this lesson, you will need handout 15A, which is Gilberto and the Balloon. You'll need your Wit and Wisdom in Sync journal and a pencil. You could also ask your learning partner if you could get some scissors and glue to complete the handout, but don't worry if you don't have those things. Pause the video now if you need to gather your materials. In previous work, you thought about how characters respond to problems and why it's important to have responses to problems and a resolution. Today, we'll continue to think about that and think about how to respond to a problem, as well as think about sensory and feeling words in a text. The question that will frame our learning for today is, what does looking at sensory and feeling words reveal to us? I'm going to read it one more time, but this time I want you to read it with me. Are you ready? What does looking at sensory and feeling words reveal to us? Now think, what do we call words that describe what we experience through our senses like sight, hearing, and touch? Think. Share with the learning partner. I'm sure you said it. These are called sensory words. Take a look at the sensory words anchor chart on the screen. We are going to be rereading sections of Gilberto and the Wind, and you are going to look closely at the sensory words used and add those words to the chart. I'm going to read a few pages, and as I am reading, I want you to signal when you hear a sensory word. I want you to point to your eye for words that describe sight. I want you to point to your ear for words that describe sound, and point to your hand for words that describe touch. Listen carefully as I read. At first, wind is gentle and just floats my balloon around in the air. But then, with a jerk, he grabs it away and carries it up to the top of a tree. Wind, oh wind, I say, blow it back to me, please. But he won't. He just laughs and whispers, "You." Did you hear any sensory words? I wish I could see what signals you used. The words describe the wind as gentle, but then says the wind jerks away the balloon. Those are examples of what the wind feels like, so I'll underline those words to remember them. I also read that the wind was laughing and whispering. Those are the sounds that Gilberto would hear, so I will underline those as well. Gentle, jerk, laugh, and whisper are all words that describe what Gilberto hears and feels on these pages. I'm going to read a few more pages, and once again, you are going to listen for sensory words. And when you hear them, you're going to give the same signals. Point to your ears for words describing sound, eyes for words describing sight, and hands for words describing touch. Listen carefully. And when I have a pinwheel, wind comes in place too. First, I blow it myself to show him how. Then I hold it out, or hold it up, and wind blows it for me. And when he blows it, he turns it so fast that it whistles and sings, and all I can see is a blur. All right, now share the sensory words you heard with your learning partner, or just share aloud. Okay, and now what you're going to do is you are going to record or write a sensory word describing what Gilberto sees, hears, or feels from the pages that I just read. I put a sentence on the screen in case you needed some help remembering the words that you just heard. You can also go back in the video and listen to me read the page again. Are you ready? Pause the video now to record or write. Okay, let's take a moment to review some of the sensory words we've already collected in this lesson. You will be returning to this chart when you write your own stories in future lessons. Let's review. For sight, we collected the word blur. For hearing, we collected the words whispers, laughs, whistles, and sings. And for touch, we collected the words gentle and jerk. Now, if you need to, pause the video to take a moment to stretch or take a quick break.